Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence. I hope you're doing good. We're getting ready for 2 big nights of epic horn, soul, funk, R&B, jazz grooves, and just downright tightness and professionalism with a legendary Oakland band bringing their magic back to the islands for a pair of dates. June 3rd at the Blaisdell Concert Hall in Honolulu, June 4th at the Mac in Kahului. Tickets for both shows on sale now. Their latest album is The Great American Songbook. It is a pleasure to plug in and get a moment with the band's founder, leader, a tenor sax and vocal monster, Emilio Castillo. Aloha and mahalo, Emilio.
Aloha, Dave. How you guys doing over there?
Doing really good, and just a huge mahalo to you, my brother.
Well, thank you very much.
And a pleasure getting to chat with you. When was your first experience? You are someone who goes way back with the islands, but just to try to go back in time, when was your first experience with Hawaii?
Well, I don't know. I can't really pinpoint my first one, but, we used to come there in the 70s quite often. We played the Diamond Head. We played what used to be the HIC, which is now the Blaisdell Arena.
Right.
We played venue called the Cinerama Reef, I remember. We played on the beach.
Tell me about that Cinerama Reef.
That was a week-long gig at a hotel, and that was pretty interesting, actually, because we played like 5 or 6 nights in a row, and it was packed every night, and those were some pretty crazy times, so we had a lot of fun out there.
What year, approximately?
That was probably in the late 70s, I would think, or the early 80s.
And you came here and did sort of a residency in Honolulu.
Yeah, we did. They made us an offer to play several nights in a row, and it was quite successful, actually.
And then another one I heard you as you rattled off a few of the many, many appearances that Tower of Power have done in the area. The gig that you did on the beach. Try to describe that.
Yeah, I don't remember much about it. I just remember they set up a stage right on the beach, and it was an open concert to the public. It wasn't like a closed-off festival where they charged you to get in or anything. It was us, and I believe it was a couple other bands. I think the other bands were local. And, we just went out there and played. It was wonderful.
Free show on the beach in Hawaii. That sounds good.
Yeah, I believe so. And I also remember doing the Shell. And Bill Graham was the promoter on that gig. And I actually have pictures of that gig. But, we played many, many times.
That's a great memory there. You had Bill as the promoter. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we did a lot of shows with Bill over the years, because we actually used to be with his company, San Francisco Records, and we were managed by him, but he used to do shows over there at the Shell.
Right.
And so we were on stage there headlining at the Shell because we were very popular in Hawaii in the 70s. And then, things got sort of slow for us in the 80s. That's when all the, the punk and new wave bands were coming out, and people kind of looked at us like we were dinosaurs or something, So we didn't come there as much in the 80s. And then in the 90s, if you don't go away, pretty soon they start calling you, instead of a dinosaur, they start calling you a legend, So, we became legends and institutions, and, they started using words like that after we passed the 20-year mark, and we started coming back, here and there, spot on, spot off, but we're really glad to be coming back. We love playing Hawaii. We have a lot of really great fans there, and who doesn't like going to Hawaii,
No, it's a great place, and I was aware that Bill had done a number of shows at the Shell and other venues in his long, illustrious career, but hadn't put one and one together, and obviously I knew, being a Bay Area guy and doing some homework, that you had a connection to him. Were you close to him?
Very close to him, yes. He was a very good friend. I can tell you a little story about one time. I was saying during the 80s was kind of a tough time for us, but every year at Christmas time, he would hire us to play his private Christmas party for his company. And so we were doing the Christmas party at the old Waldorf in San Francisco, and we had done our sound check, and the guys had gone home to change, and I was just hanging around. And he comes in, and it was nobody in the club, just me and him, and a couple of people setting up tables and what have you. And he says, "I need to talk to you. Come backstage." I thought I was in trouble or something went wrong, And He takes me backstage. He says, "Sit down. I'm going to tell you something. I don't want you to say a word." So I sit down, and he says, "Let's just say I had a good roll of the dice this year, and I know you guys have been struggling. I'm going to give you this envelope, and it's got $10,000 in it. You can keep it for yourself. You can split it with your guys any way you want, whatever you want to do. This is just a bonus Christmas gift for you guys." He says, "You're still getting paid for the gig." He gave me an envelope filled with cash, $10,000. And when all the guys came back after getting their clothes and everything, they came and I told them, "Let's go in the room where the pool table is." And I threw the $10,000 on the pool table. We all divided it and had a Merry Christmas because of Bill Graham.
What a great Bill Graham story that one is.
And that's just really typical of some of the things he does. You know, he was always very magnanimous, just a really, really good friend, you know.
That is the kind of story. I've heard so many great stories about him through the years, and that's quite revealing. And he was a guy you had both professional and personal experiences with, so really a chance to build some rapport.
Yeah, really nice. I miss him a lot.
And he was, you have photographs, I think you mentioned, of you guys together out here?
Yeah, at the show, you know, on stage. Chester Thompson on the keyboards, who...
Santana.
He wound up going to Santana. He just recently left them, actually. But, yeah, you know, Chester and Bruce Conti and Lenny Williams and pictures of Bill on stage with us talking.
That's great. In Hawaii.
Yeah, really nice.
And what other islands in your history, Emilio, have you been able to? I know this, of course, we have a gig that we're going to be sharing with you with the good people over on Maui, but what are some of the other islands you've performed on?
Well, we played Maui several times. You know, we did a jazz festival over there, and we've done a few concerts. We played this Cultural Arts Center a few times, and we've done Kona several times. We did a New Year's Eve gig there about 5 years ago, and just over the years gone over to Kona probably 3, maybe 4 times. Also Hilo, and we've been over to Kauai too, I think twice. So yeah, we've gotten around the islands a bit. I love the Big Island myself. That's my favorite.
I was going to ask you to sort of go through your own personal take on the islands, and you just went there yourself. Tell me why the Big Island calls to you like it does.
Well, I remember, years ago they had a thing there called the Queen's Bath. And I believe that thing got filled in by a volcano over the years. But for years there was this thing called the Queen's Bath, and it was a natural freshwater bathtub, basically. I mean, you know, it was about, I guess, 15, 25 feet long and about 10 feet wide. And, man, it just felt so good to be in there, you know. It was right near this black sand beach, somewhere between Hilo and Kona, you know. And I remember going out there and just thinking to myself, you know, this is truly paradise, you know. And thinking about, you know, what it would be like to be Hawaiian royalty, you know, and having this natural little pool be your private bathtub, you know. I mean, it must have been awesome, you know. So really fondly going to the 7 pools in Hana. I've been there a few times, you know, and every time I've gone, I mean, they never cease to amaze me. The beauty, you know, I often marvel at people that say, you know, they don't believe in God, or, you know, there is no creator, stuff like that. When I go to Hawaii, generally, you know, I feel very close to God. I know that there is a creator, and that He touched that part of the world really specially.
What a nice thing to say about the islands too. That's going to touch a lot of people. Emilio, I'm not sure where you are in your house or whatever, but try to adjust yourself. I'm starting to get a little bit of fuzz on the line.
Yeah.
Where are you? Have you not moved at all?
They're over here.
You're in the same spot basically the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just, hey, there's 5,000 miles between, or 3,000. We got to make the best of it. No problem. And so that's great. So your memories, really amazing memories, vivid memories of Maui and also Kona. I mean, I couldn't ask for much more than that when it comes to a local memory. And then, you know, your connection to the other the other islands. I was curious if there was, because you're one of the artists who can really speak about playing in the state over the history of time, are there certain changes that you notice in Hawaii, or that you think when I say that, you say, yeah, well, I really have watched this evolve, or something else that really has stuck out to you as changing?
Um, I couldn't say that I could speak to that with any authority, because I come there, infrequently, So for me, when I come, I'm just basically just marveling once again at the beauty and the comfortableness. I'm sure that the pace there is a lot slower. People are just more relaxed and more comfortable. And so when I come, that's what I notice. I don't really notice a whole lot of change. I could tell you that, maybe things got more populated, they did more building or whatever. But to be really honest, when I came in the 70s, it was already a tourist capital.
Right.
So, there might be new places and new looks to things, but it's still a hustling, bustling sort of tourist island. And, I think Hawaii's really done a great job always, of sort of maintaining the natural beauty and yet, making it a place for people to come and enjoy vacations.
What do you think made it so that you...
I enjoyed the North Shore on Oahu, and I really enjoyed Kauai. I enjoyed Hilo. I remember people telling me, Hilo, yeah, that's more of a blue-collar city. That's not really a touristy place. And I went to Hilo. I loved it. It was one of my favorite places.
It's so cool. So you come really to get away too. So you're a legitimate vacationer, I'm sensing.
Well, no, it's just, over the years when I've come, I made a lot of friends there, and so I've come over there a few times to visit them. And when I do, we're not into hanging out at hotels. I do that all the time with the band, So, we get out and get to go see the island, and plus I like enjoying my friendships over there, and, people have been very accommodating with places to stay and just showing me around. It's just a beautiful place to go. So I love going there, and I feel very comfortable with the local people there.
Yeah, and that's great that you say that, because really you have a strong connection here, and you probably already know your promoter, Tom Moffat, likes to call you guys Hawaii's favorite band. You have established yourself through a long history of gigs, some of which we were just speaking about. I was recently talking with, whenever I talk to anybody who's got a strong connection here, I usually ask them this, and you get a varying degree of answers, and it's pretty interesting to see why they think people here connect with their music. And I ask you the same thing. Anything that comes to mind as to why it is that the local promoter would say that about you, or that after so many years of coming here, you really do have the connection you've got with Hawaii?
Yeah, my band is very popular with Latino people. We're playing this weekend. We're playing all through Southern California. We're going to do the Greek Theater, and then we're doing Pachanga Casino, and we're going up to Avila Beach, which is near San Luis Obispo. And at all those three gigs, there will be a lot of Latinos, because we're very popular with Latinos, And I've always found a big similarity between the people of Hawaii and our Latin crowd. And I don't know if it's just because it's a people that, really identifies with the rhythm and with the soul. But from the first time we went, we were just an instant hit. And they just like our kind of music. It's got a really good beat, and our slow songs are, very, very much right up the alley of the local Hawaiian. You're still a young man, and a lot of our ballads that we've had, even our up-tempo tunes like You Ought to Be Having Fun. I remember when I was living up in the Bay Area in Berkeley, I woke up one morning, and that's when they had the Don Ho show on national TV. Mind you, this was not in Hawaii. I was in the Bay Area, and this was a national morning show called the Don Ho Show. And I remember I got up, and I was brushing my teeth, and I could hear in the distance, You ought to be having fun, and I was like, what? And I went, and it was Don Ho, and he had these girls, Hawaiian girls, singing in the background, and he was like, making someone happy, I was just like, wow, man, Don Ho is doing my song on national TV, but it was like, the Hawaiian people, they just have always dug our music. You know, we're a good band to cruise to. You know, we're a good band to send out shout outs for your girlfriend. You know, it's like that's right up the alley for Hawaiians. You know.
Dude, you nailed it. That is such a great story with Don Ho. I think that we're going to have to make sure that was a good moment.
My favorite memories, man, because, you know, I mean, think about it. Don Ho was a pretty straight kind of dude. You know, I mean, he was like a mainstream America kind of Hawaiian representative, you know, and, man, there he was, like, singing my tune. I was like, wow, man, this is so cool, you know.
It's awesome, dude. What a great memory. And a real connection to, like you said, to a major Hawaiian music icon.
Yeah.
It's gigantic. Take me inside some of these. I know that you've gotten to, because you have this legendary Tower of Power horns, which are arguably some of the greatest horns ever. You know, it's kind of like the way the JBs are looked at, with Fred Wesley and Maceo Parker, and it's that same kind of energy or aura or mystique that comes with Tower of Power horns. When you've done some sessions, you have online at least said that the Little Feat and the Eurythmics sessions that you did were some of the great moments that you've gotten to do in the studio. I was just curious if you could highlight any one jam or moment with a hero or an important artist to you personally that you've gotten to go in the studio or play live with. What comes to mind as being the most significant personally?
Well, I remember when the Fillmore West closed. They had a series of concerts for a week, and they had all the bands that were the most popular bands that ever played there. And, for the closing night, Bill Graham put Santana, Tower of Power, and Creedence Clearwater. You know, that was really a big, huge honor to us, you know. And, that was the closing of a venue that pretty much, really introduced big-time rock and roll to the United States. And it was, sold out. And, at the end of the show, everybody came on stage. And not only the three bands from that night, but, all the sort of rock and roll hierarchy from the Bay Area, and also the bands that were visiting from out of town that were playing during the week of the closing of the Fillmore West. Everybody was there, and everybody came on stage, and we were all jamming. Van Morrison and Boz Scaggs and Carlos Santana and Cold Blood, and Grateful Dead people and Elvin Bishop's people, and there was just tons of famous players. Just a wonderful time. And then also at that same venue, when Bill Graham brought in Aretha Franklin, and she recorded her record there over the weekend called Aretha Live at the Fillmore. I'm looking at the poster right now here in my office. Aretha Franklin Live at the Fillmore West. We were the opening act for the whole weekend. And I remember at the time, we were kind of having a little fight with Bill, For about a year there, we sort of were at odds with each other. But even though we were at odds, he put us on that show. And he did, because he knew we were the best act, the most complimentary act to be with Aretha Franklin and King Curtis and the Kingpins. And we played every night, all 4 nights of the weekend. And on the final night, Ray Charles came and sat in, They recorded, they jammed, and they did Spirit in the Dark. And it made the record, and I remember on the ride out, Bernard Purdie was playing drums, and Ray Charles was taking it to the moon, it was really getting exciting. And Bernard got up off of his drums and told our drummer, David Garibaldi, you play, and Dave got on, man, and when you hear that ride out, that final ride out on Spirit in the Dark on that record with Ray Charles and Aretha and King Curtis and all those famous musicians, that's Dave Garibaldi, our drummer, playing drums, Just sharing the stage with them that weekend and closing that final weekend of the Fillmore West, those are profound memories for me. I love that period of time. And I love those people. They were so creative, and so talented.
What a great couple of gigs, you're right, to have been a part of for TOP and to highlight. Have you, I know it's a totally different venue, and in fact it's the one that came before it, and now it's back open again. Do you have any kind of connection with the building, the Fillmore Auditorium?
Well, I play there pretty much every year for the last 15 years, and we when they reopened it, we played there for about 5 years, and then they had the earthquake. And then they refurbished it, and we've been playing there for another 10 years or so. Every year we play there. As a matter of fact, we just recorded our 40th anniversary DVD there. And we had all the past members from Tower of Power come and play. I had about 50 musicians there, you know. We even had Sam Moore from Days. He came and sang at the show because he's on our new record, you know.
Yeah, no, he's a monster.
The Fillmore many times. But I'll tell you a funny thing about the original Fillmore on Geary and Fillmore Street in San Francisco is I went and auditioned there when I was 16 years old. And at the time, we were called the Gotham City Crime Fighters. We went and auditioned on the floor. And when you auditioned there, they wouldn't let you on the stage. You auditioned on the floor. And we auditioned for Bill Graham personally. He was there, sitting there, and we just played our songs. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And, you know, we were horrible. You know, we were just a bunch of kids. I was not quite 16 years old. And he told my mother, who was our manager, he said, Mrs. Castillo, I think you need to take your boys back to the garage for about a year and come back, you know. And that's what we did. You know, we went back to the garage, and we rehearsed. And we came back there about 2 years later. I was 18 years old. And that's when we auditioned. But by then, you know, the original Fillmore had closed, and we auditioned at the Fillmore West. But, yeah, I got a lot of history with the original Fillmore, too.
Ah, you do, man. You've got history on both ends of your career, both in the original era there, as you described, and, of course, in the rejuvenated version.
Yeah, you remember all those posters, you know, those psychedelic posters from the Fillmore. I remember when we were auditioning when I was 15 years old. It was 1966, and we were auditioning. Bill Graham was sitting on a chair. My mother was next to him. We were playing our songs, and there was a guy about 15 feet over to the right, a hippie guy, you know, and he was painting the most wild painting, and he was doing the poster for that weekend. His name was Mouse.
Right, Mouse.
Oh, he did all those Fillmore posters, you know.
Famous dude.
Yeah, and then we went on to, you know, like I say, we got signed to Bill a few years later, and you know, I got a lot of those Fillmore posters with our name on it now. But at the time, I remember, you know, that was the big thing was, you know, the Fillmore poster, man. Can you make out what it says?
Right. Right, they were so psychedelic.
Writing, nobody could tell what was being said, you know, but they would have the Grateful Dead and the Jefferson Airplane and, you know, Quicksilver Messenger Service and Big Brother and the holding company, and we were trying to get in there, and we finally did.
It's nice how they've put all the posters in that upstairs area or wherever it is, because I've been in the renovated place, and you know where I'm talking about. You can sit in there and eat and stuff and look at all the posters.
Every time I go, I walk the walls and I point out to my friends, yeah, I'm on that one, I'm on that one, that one.
Yeah, I bet you like that room for sure.
Oh, yeah, it brings back a lot of memories.
And just as we wrap it up here, I just wanted to, you know, in terms of people coming out to the show, are there any surprises, or is there anything that you want to put in people's minds in terms of how they should get excited for these shows and how it relates to this great collection of classic material that you guys have put your own stamp on?
Our record is called The Great American Soul Book, and it's all, you know, classic soul tunes, some of them very popular soul songs, and some of them very obscure, unique soul songs, because that's what we used to do before we were famous as Tower of Power. We used to do a lot of obscure soul music and do it our own way. And that's kind of what we did on this record. And we were fortunate. We got a lot of help from some friends. We got Tom Jones singing a duet with our singer on a song called I Thank You by Sam and Dave. We have Sam Moore from Sam and Dave doing the famous Otis Redding song, Mr. Pitiful. And then we have Huey Lewis on the record. He's singing 6345789 as a duet with our singer.
I love Me and Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, Me and Mrs. Jones. That's my favorite on the track. I mean, I think our version it just came out stellar.
You guys kill it on that thing. The horns sound larger than life.
Yeah, we got a great horn arranger down in Texas named Dave Eskridge, and he did that arrangement. And then we also have, you know, Joss Stone. She did 2 songs on the record, and she did a duet on Heaven Must Have Sent Your Precious Love, and she also did a song called "It Takes Two," which is a Marvin Gaye, Kim Weston duet, and she did that with our singer, and that was a bonus track on our European release.
It's great.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of help on that record, and it really came out good.
It's great that you've been able to connect like that around the world. You really do have such an internationally successful group, Emilio. You're to be commended for being able to really capitalize on the international part of the TOP phenomenon.
Well, it ain't me, man. It's God. God takes care of us, and we just do our part to glorify Him, man. We try to go around the world, let people know that we're God-fearing people, and that we're blessed to have this talent by Him, and we do our best to glorify Him.
Well, it's that humble, kind attitude that's probably made you, endeared you so much to the people out here, and I'm looking forward to it. June 3rd, Blaisdell. June 4th, the Mac in Kahului. Tickets are on sale now. The band coming through the area, and just a real pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as me.
Absolutely.
Very much a pleasure getting to talk to you. Emilio Castillo of Tower of Power. And thank you so much. A big mahalo.
You're welcome.
I don't think I could ask for much more, Brother Emilio, except for I hope that, I reached out and I asked Ann when you're in town. I was hoping to be able to, the night of the show, come over there, record a brief interview with you, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Cool. And it'll mean a lot to me. I saw you a lot in Boston before I moved here 8 years ago. I've seen you a lot here in town, and just never had the opportunity. I was always doing this rock station thing, and they had a pretty tight list. But now at Hawaii Public Radio, there's just a lot more opportunity to plug in with people like yourself. And just I'm rooting you on. You sound like a really, really wonderful guy, as nice as I could have ever imagined.
Well, thanks, man. I'm glad it worked out. I'm really sorry about yesterday. Once again, I was out in the middle of some kids rocking out at the church, but...
You got a good excuse.
I told my kids, I said, I got an interview from Hawaii coming at 4:30. And they're like, okay, how long's it going to take? I go, 5 or 10 minutes. I go, but I got to do it. And, man, we were in there trying to work these songs out for this vacation Bible school. And I got out, and I went, oh, you idiot. And then I tried calling you, but I didn't have an extension number. I went through every name on your list of people at the station, but I never got a Dave Lawrence. So.
I gotta get that hooked up for you. I apologize. I had on your cell. I guess I left you the direct right back into the studio here. But once the interview time frame is up, I move on to I host the afternoon drive. We do All Things Considered. So once the afternoon starts, as you can imagine, when I'm done talking to you, I got to get that show prepared.
Yeah, I hear you. I just saw the number, so I called it back. Later on, I realized, there's a voicemail, and I called it. I was like, okay, it's too late now.
Hey, man, we connected, and I give you a big hug and a super big high five. I appreciate connecting with you, and I'm looking forward to you arriving here safely and for your big gigs.
Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot. Aloha, this is Emilio Castillo from Tower of Power, and this is the only show that matters, with my friend Dave Lawrence.
Aloha! This is Emilio Castillo of the group Tower of Power, and you're tuned to the only show that matters with my friend, Dave Lawrence.